Welcome to the Social Mission Revolution.
Each week we explore some of the greatest undertold stories of businesses and everyday people who are making their ultimate impact on the world through social mission. This is Social Mission Revolution.
And this is your host, Andrea Putting. Welcome to the Social Mission Revolution. And today I'm here with Erik Bigalk, who is a business solutionist, serial entrepreneur, quantum coach, international business writer, speaker, and founder of the CEO of a multi-award-winning brand communication and creative marketing firm, Smart Solutions. So we're going to have a lot of things to talk about today on the Social Mission Revolution. And so welcome, Erik.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks for the invitation, Andrea.
Thank you. We've been talking a while, for some time we've said that we'll have to get you on the show. So it's really a great pleasure to finally be connecting with each other.
Yes, likewise. Thank you. And it has been a little while coming. So even the more, my pleasure to be here. Thanks.
So Erik, I'd love to start with the question that I ask everybody. So if there was just one thing for you to fight for, what would that be?
I guess you expect an answer that kind of just goes, well, it's just this one thing. And my excuse for not having that is that I'm multi-talented, I'm multi-interested and multi-passionate, and I'm a Gemini. So narrowing it down to a single kind of thing is a thing that if it's possible, it is certainly near impossible for me in my experience. But if I can answer your question the best way possible, then I would say really it's sort of, look, there's a lot of things that make me tick, but equal opportunity is a really strong one. And that goes across not just gender, or the alleviation of gender bias, but, also, from a racial or multicultural aspect. It kind of also for me stands a way of encapsulating kind of the abolishment of poverty, really. And another thing I'm really, really passionate about is the enhancement of common sense, because I keep being reminded every day that common sense is actually not all that common. So there's a few things in there, but maybe that answered your question somewhat.
Yes, it's always an interesting thing to try to pin it down to one thing, because we can become multifaceted and multi-passionate about things. But yeah, so you try and figure that out and try and get it down to one thing. It can be a challenge. But usually those things are there is facets there where they interconnect.
And for me, they're all linked together. I mean, there's a bunch more. I've tried to sort of narrow it down, so because I had a feeling you might ask me that question. So I tried to narrow it down beforehand. But if you really were to sort of just bring it down to a single kind of expression, it probably is positive change.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's lots of areas in the world, environmentally, in society, in the world, in different aspects of how we live, and in people even, that where that fits. And it is actually as true in my coaching as it is true in my consulting, or in when we do marketing or we run events. It's all about positive change, and creating positive experience and enhancement, and not just right here, but in the bigger vision as well, which takes us to the whole social kind of mission or social change kind of aspect, which I'm sure we talk about some more. But yeah, so like positive change is one of the sort of key values that really make me tick, and in all areas of life, really.
Yeah, so you could easily put that, covering what you've spoken about already, is that when we have something that's positive and make those changes, then that's something worth us spending time with.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. So you've been in business for a long time, and you've been successful in what you do, and we're here to talk about social mission. So I'd love to know how you look at social mission from a business aspect.
So I guess I was really engaged in social mission already before I really kind of embraced the concept consciously, or before I even recognized that there's such things as social responsibilities, and that's been kind of part of the makeup and mission for larger companies and corporations and all that kind of stuff. It was like I kind of always have given back. I've always made time or contributed to causes, and it's kind of just been a real sort of integrated thing. And I think it's sort of a values disposition that I've always held, in terms of how that really takes shape or place within my business and how I work. I was fortunately enough to apart from other organizations and charities and causes that I've sort of supported directly, to also meet Masami Sato and Paul Dunn from B1G1, the Buy One, Give One organization that has meanwhile, I think over the last 13 years, grown to quite a global phenomenon and has created massive impact globally. And it's having met them, interviewed them, having been since then partnered with them, it means that we have a whole broad scale of different charitable causes or initiatives that align actually with the global sustainability goals, that we can integrate on a daily basis really into how we function in our business, rather than use the traditional model of saying, well, business as usual, and then at the end of it we do like a token donation to something feel good, and we get a photo with the check in our hand, and then it's business as usual. So we really have brought that into the very fabric of who we are as a business, how we operate. Our proposals to new and potential clients is the first slide is always about who we are and what we stand for, our values, positive change, making that not only in the work that we do and for the clients that we work with, but also at the world at large. And that's where we look to work with people that are aligned along that way. And we're fortunate enough that we can kind of say that we don't want to work with some people if that doesn't feel like that is there. And that's a great place to be, that we don't have to sort of take any client just because we're a client. And it bleeds right through to how we work as a team here in the office, that our team members, they all hold that as a value, and it's important to us to contribute. So we always work on pro bono projects and clients. We help people where we feel like that help is needed, and we do give back through B1G1 largely, often along the notion of where it feeds into that equality thing, where it creates generational change, and we feel education is a big aspect of that. So being able to empower around that is not often a strong aspect of where we chose or how we choose to direct that the social change or the positive change aspect. So we all take strong ownership of that across not only myself but the entire team, and we wear that on our sleeves, which I think is important. Not because look at us, we're so good, but because I think it's more so really there to create that ripple effect, the pebble in the pond that
absolutely
kind of spins it on. And rather than telling people you should, it's more about like, well, we do this, if you like what we do, well, you can do that too. So
absolutely.
it was a lengthy answer for your question.
Oh no, well, that's what we're here for. So there was one thing that I picked up from what you've said is about how you integrate it and how you choose which B1G1 projects that you speak about. There is something that's really important there, and that is the understanding of your values and what you stand for as not just as the business owner, but as the team.
Mm.
So that importance of going, well, what is it? What is it that I want to fight for? What is it where is it that I want to make that positive change? Because it is so easy. There are a lot of businesses who just kind of give at the end of the project because, well, it looks good.
Yeah, or maybe we should kind of, maybe often it's a bit like that greenwashing that happens, where sort of go, oh
Yes.
yeah, we just kind of say that, we can recycle the heavy plastic thing if you choose to, but really, like, we're not looking at how can we minimize the use of plastic, sort of that aspect. I totally know what you say there, and we're just growing our team currently again, which is a great thing to have on the back of the year we've just had. In our initial kind of conversations that we have with potential candidates is like, we really want to know where they're at, who are those people. So we hire on character as much as on skill. Skill we can easily expand and teach, but to have your heart in the right place is a very different thing, right? And so it comes down to values and ethics and outlook, and it doesn't have to be my view or my nobody has to essentially agree with me on the things that we choose, but fundamentally we want people to want to make a positive difference and don't just kind of look at the short term or the short vision aspect. We want ownership in the team, and I think by sharing what we stand for first up, which we do in our interviews, we do it with clients, we do it with anything. They know sort of who we are, and I think just people that feel really aligned, they want to be part of the team, and then there's no question why we would do pro bono jobs, or why we'd help causes or people or situations where I think it's needed. So we had this discussion just last week again, where that's where reward lies, where it's a bit cliche, but where it fills our cup, fills our hearts, fills our soul. It feels like, wow, we've done really well, and it's not measured by the bank account or by measures of success and titles and awards. It's measured, in our sense, by we've made a difference, and if that can flow on beyond kind of just the simple tasks that we've done and the impact they have, then that's kind of, I think, what I can also look back on, and feel, well, I've left a positive imprint. It's like the footprints we leave on the beach when we kind of walk. So that's I don't know, maybe a bit poetic or philosophical, but yeah, I feel passionate about it, and hence it's important to me, with, as I say, with clients, with team members, with things we engage with, as well as the things we choose to be B1 G1. So yeah.
So how do you find that being involved in social mission, whether it's by giving to B1 G1 projects or giving pro bono work or things along that line, how do you feel that makes a difference to the way that you do business?
Look, I think, I think because it plays such an integrate and upfront part for us as people and as a business, and that's not commonly found with everyone. Like, not every business holds that as a value. I think that's where that traditional model lies, and we kind of we openly discuss what we would want to take on as something. We make it a collaborative process of what we want to support, and I mean, we just recently, since late last year, really, we've been working on a small business that is owned and run by a woman that survived Hodgkin's lymphoma, for an example, and on the back of that, it really changed her outlook on life. And the business she started kind of on a shoestring budget, so to speak. And it's like when you're trying to cook a 3-course dinner with an empty cupboard. And we felt like it would just really help her to, fan some wind under her wings. And so we took that on, and we've been working with her for 4 months or so. And it's sort of one way of where we feel like it it makes a difference for us in-house, makes a difference to her, but it also makes a difference to kind of lead by example to others beyond that immediate relationship. Another example might be Mood Off Day, which is now, I think, in its 10th year, and we've been working with them for that whole period of time. It's a charity it started around the concept of the whole smartphone or smart device addiction, how people spend more time with that and relate more through it than face to face, then really connect and have these conversations to, see whether the neighbor is okay, or and to really connect human to human. And so with that organization, we've been doing it for years, and it's like, I think again, it causes this ripple effect, and when it comes to our giving, I've lived overseas. I've lived in Indonesia for a number of years and run my business from there. So I do have a soft spot for Indonesia and Bali in particular. And one giving that we often choose, therefore, is to provide microloans to families there. And the interesting thing with that is that, like even the smallest amount can really create generational change. Like if it funds a sewing machine, then it can start a small business, and then
Yes.
it means that they can earn extra income, which means the girls get to go to school rather than work most of the time, and the women can it brings more equality to the relationship and the family makeup, because women can earn as much, sometimes more, as their men. Those microloans get repaid very quickly, because women tend to be quite responsible. And that's maybe a generalization, but, and then those microloans are recycled, and other people, have that opportunity. We've given, farming equipment, seeds and goats to families in Africa, where getting into farming and being able to barter actually really makes a massive difference to them. And again, education plays a big role in that. And it opens so many different pathways. And we feel that something like that is really rewarding, and we do share that up front. Like we do send kind of acknowledgement to people that partly funded by being new clients or things like that, and it really has a massive impact. People going, wow, we did that. We have run a lot of events, networking events, business events, and things like that, where the ticket price has that giving kind of built into it, and people come away from these events not only with a positive experience and learning about things like B1G1 or social responsibility, or really finding what our mission is, beyond just being consultants or in business or providing events, but to realize, wow, hang on, we've had all this value, and at the same time we've changed lives. And I'm just talking about that gives me kind of that goosebump kind of feeling, and I think for me that's the payoff, right? And I think, I just it makes me feel good, and I know that is true for others that we work with. And so I think that's really where it really appears everywhere in everything we do. So it's not just a segmented aspect of we do business and then we also do this, and that makes us really feel good, but it's actually something that can be felt throughout everything we do.
Yeah, and I think that's the important aspect of getting into social mission in the fullest sense of the word, is that it becomes who you are, and that reflects into everything that you do. And I'm sure that makes a big difference to the way your team react, just in their normal day-to-day work life. And I would think also their loyalty to the business as well would be increased, because they know that what they're doing is beyond just providing the services that you provide. They're doing something that's bigger than themselves.
Yeah, totally. And I think what you're saying, it's bigger than themselves, and it's bigger than us, and it's bigger than just, providing a service to a client. And that's, I guess, this key concept around it. And you can sort of also have this kind of change for the sake of change, like, and the world that I dwell in terms of business, often we do facilitate or bring about change. It's not just about kind of doing it for the sake of it. It's kind of it kind of anchors a deeper meaning. And like, I think I had this reflection the other day where I just sort of thought, if my younger self 20, 30 years ago would meet myself today, well, how would either one of me would view me, right? And it's an interesting kind of reflection, and maybe for Gemini, it's like kind of going, "Oh, you guys, you doubled up anyway," sort of, like it's. But it was really interesting because what I came up with is sort of like, I think, wow, I would have looked up to that person. My 20-something-year-old self would have perhaps looked up to someone like me, and particularly if I got to know them, to realize these sort of values that I carry, because I didn't necessarily have them. I mean, not that I was a bad person or that there needs to be a judgment on people that do or that don't pursue or integrate social mission, but I think, sort of the way that's evolved in myself as a human being, and as it has evolved therefore in my business and pretty much everything I do, it's a long way from, helping a little old lady across the street to, making, because it's the same place where that comes from, the kind of willingness to kind of help, or to, help out, or to take it beyond myself, right? That I can stop what I'm doing to make it about someone else, to make it bigger than me. And the way that I'm able to do that now is, I don't know, it's phenomenal. I like just, we didn't really have much of many events last year, and the year before we had a massive big Christmas event, and we had expert panels and goodie bags and all of that stuff, and we asked all the guests to bring something to donate, and we then took that to people in need, like homeless people in refuge housing, and that kind of thing too, because I know people get value from our events, and then we do want to inspire that in others. It's not compulsory, and I don't judge on that. But it's great that when we can facilitate that, when we can let those ripples take effect and make it, again, not only big, about others and bigger than ourselves, but make the whole thing and everyone that partakes in it help, them get ownership of something that's bigger than, and I think particularly in the time and space where, as a society, we not only are dealing with a pandemic, but we are dealing with an epidemic of loneliness, of mental health, of purpose, of feeling lost, of loneliness, and as I keep feeling, of a lack of common sense. And often common sense is not that difficult, but it seems to be like perplexingly, difficult for some people. And so if we can make a difference, and I don't know, like sometimes it's as simple as I'm in the supermarket and there's a mum with a little toddler, and the toddler keeps screaming and kicking and throwing lollies in the trolley, and she goes, "Oh no, honey, we're not going to buy lollies," so then puts them back, and he just keeps going this thing, and I might just kind of walk up and says, "Oh, like, how old are you?" And he's like, "I'm this," and then I say, "Well, look, I think your mum said no," and then me saying that once kind of stops the game, the tantrum kind of thing or whatever, and for me it's the same as helping someone across the road, lift something heavy, or open the door when they've got their hands full, or letting someone walk into the lift first. They're just as they're, for me, to come out of the same route as making a donation or providing microloans or giving books or whatever it might be.
And that's something that I'm very much focused on, the social mission revolution, is that each and every one of us has some kind of gift of giving, and we have it on different levels and different ways that we express this. And whatever way it is, it's perfect. And it doesn't have to be that each and every one of us goes out and starts a great big movement or goes and raises $1 million. It might be just that we might be just the person who does those little things.
Yeah.
And that's perfect. And that little thing, just that little thing that you do, can make a massive difference in someone's life. I should put a quote on Facebook today, my own quote.
Yeah. No,
it's in the small things. In the small things, there is great power.
Yeah. And it's like that. I mean, they say, how often have you been bitten by an elephant? or how often have you been bitten by a horse? Or a donkey, or a dog, or a cat, versus how often have you been bitten by a mosquito? Right? So it's always the little things that get you, but it's the little things that make a difference, right? And lots of little things make a lot of difference. It's got a lot of flow and effect. And as you said, it's like, I think this sort of leading by example, and if I do a little thing, I can do a little thing twice. If I can make little things happening more than once, then I can make slightly bigger things happening. And it's not like raising millions and millions upon dollars. We've seen that with the bushfires, where there was millions of dollars raised, but they actually didn't even go to the people that needed it.
No.
Sometimes you were complicating things, and and I guess working with people and helping people, like I recall that he was going, oh yeah, I'm going to make lots of money, and then I'm going to help and set up an orphanage. And well, that's a long way to make a difference. There's probably a shorter route that you can take to make a difference now, right? Because the need is now there just as much. It'd probably be greater by the time you've done all that. And it's I guess one of the insights I gained, that we don't have to wait for these things. You can put your time into it and make a difference. You can just raise a little bit of money. Like what we did 1 year, where just like everyone just got a card about the donation of peanut seeds and hoes and live goats that we gave to a project in Africa, where they were re-establishing farming village life. And the people that got brought there were sort of orphans and child soldiers, and so it was really making a massive difference over there. And it just meant I didn't buy some junky toy for someone, or a little keepsake that probably ends up at St. Vincent's in less than 6 months anyway. But it made them think, it made a difference, it made us feel good. And I know that some of those people go, oh great, that's an awesome idea, I'm going to do it for the birthday, I'm going to do it for the kids, instead of the junk toys that are breaking before lunchtime. And I think it didn't take setting things up and recreating or reinventing the wheel or anything like that. It's just about, as you say, the little things that, and whatever that is in your personal expression is perfect.
Yes.
And I think the key is in that we do take that step, that we do have the courage to take it beyond ourselves and make those little points of difference, and then things lead and roll from there, I think.
Yep, absolutely. So if there was one piece of advice that you'd like to give to people who are in business on implementing, including, integrating social mission into their business, what would that be?
I wish you would have prepared for that question, because it's probably not one I can answer with like just one kind of
No,
thing.
I kind of cut. When I said one, I thought, no, Erik won't just have one.
Wrong person to ask for one. Look, I guess we can get lost down the rabbit hole of, what makes it tick the most, and how could you, make a, difference along that path, or making it an integrated kind of concept, or whatever. Like for me personally, I get a lot of inspiration and I get a lot of insight from not working, from stepping back from just running my business and doing the things one does in their business. And a great example is, I last Friday or something, I went and took this walk, and I didn't even know where I was going, which was great. And I just it was sort of open-ended. So I just followed my feet. And And while on this walk, I've reflected on a lot of things, thoughts that came to my head. It's a sweltering hot afternoon, so I was going, geez, why did I do that? It's like I don't have water. It's like kind of, and then I catch myself in these things, and I let them go, and it's like watching the traffic pass. These thoughts that come by, and rather than getting sort of on the bus as it comes past, I just watch it. Oh yeah, there you go. Like, I could get carried away with the thought, but I'd remain here, the witness. And in that place, I got a great inspiration from the project we're working on that just kind of nailed it. But it also gave me this opportunity to kind of see, wow, there's so much more I can do, right? And for me, that was sort of like such an enriching thing. And I would think that someone that would, think about how can I integrate things into my business, I think it's that stepping away from the doing and
Yes.
going to the being. And that's where I think most likely you can recognize that, hey, here's something I want to do, right? Because it's got to come from within. You can't stick this on, you should, and then expect me to fill it with my heart or with my soul. Yeah, it needs to come from within. And driving the car is a great place. It's very meditative, and that's similar for me, like then maybe going for a walk to find, that place that, hey, there's something more I can do. And once you've got the thirst, I think once it's true for myself, I just assume it'd be similar for others, most other people, that once there's the thirst, then we'll find the water, and then we can we'll find ways that we can make a difference. I think it starts with creating the space, and then committing a degree of time and energy and willingness to that. And then I think we can really make a difference, however small or big. Maybe there's some value in that. And then of course there's the structural things, like changing your whole presentation, the vision, mission of your company or your business, or how you communicate with people, or what sort of projects you work on, or whether you donate some of your profits or whatever that might be. But I think that the starting point, the seed, would be something like that.
Yeah, and absolutely, because that is certainly part of my process, is guiding people through that, of stepping aside and allowing that what's burning within, giving that the opportunity to come out and discover.
And it's an interesting choice of words, the stepping aside. Often I think, and it's with the quantum coaching that I do with people, and particularly more so than perhaps in business, but it applies to both areas. It's like sometimes we have to get out of our own way, right? Because who are we to decide that, what needs to happen or whatever, when there's this grand orchestration of life unfolding all around us and we're being part of it? Then we can sort of mentally decide or control these things, right? Sometimes just getting out of the way and being more is more powerful sometimes than trying to strategize around these things, And a conversation I had earlier today, and this phrase came up of take the day off, and I try to design my Mondays largely, apart from this interview, which is taking place on a Monday, but I like to. Mondays are for me moon days. They're governed by the moon, so they're more about the receptive, about the flow of things. They're not out there to conquer the world, to do business, to negotiate, to make deals, or to, run out and be super active. It's more about being reflective and receptive and that kind of thing. So so if I'm going to take a day off, it'd be Monday, because it will allow me to reflect on these things. And and if you kind of take a day off from whatever it is, from worrying, from running your business, from, feeling the way you usually feel, just take a day off from whatever it is you do or you don't do, or how you feel, whether you're happy, you're depressed, or whatever. Just take a day off. And that space, taking yourself out of the way of the usual, of the predictable, of the as you think things are or should be, is immensely powerful. And I think that in itself can facilitate massive change, in ourselves, and therefore then in the lives of others.
Yeah, very important. It's really important to be able to do that.
Mm.
So Erik, I've really enjoyed speaking with you. on the podcast. It's been a great pleasure and lots of little bits of insight for us. But before we go, how can people get in touch with you if they'd like to get in touch with you about some of the things you do?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm of course across all the usual culprits of social media and that kind of thing. My name is not that common. Erik with a K, Bigalk. You probably find me in most places, but failing that, one website would be smart-solutions.com.au, and you'll find contact points there. And, as we talked about, this kind of personal insight kind of scenario and personal social mission and so forth, beyondyoursuccess.net is the umbrella under which I do a lot of the more personal kind of connecting and stuff, because I think that the very topic we're talking about today is really beyond our success, because it's about beyond ourselves. It's bigger than ourselves. And yes, so those are the two kind of things that feed hand in hand. And so please, anyone feel free to reach out to me on that. And thank you so much again for inviting me, Andrea. It's been delightful and insightful, and I love the work you do, and so I feel really honored to have been invited.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Erik, for your time. And that's all I have today for Social Mission Revolution. I'll be back next time with another Social Mission Revolutionist. This has been the Social Mission Revolution with Andrea Putting. Join me again next week when we'll speak to another Social Mission Revolutionist who will inspire you on your journey to making your ultimate impact on the world.